polls have closed in Turkey's most consequential election in more than 2 decades, probably the most important election in Turkey's last 100 years. The incumbent longtime leader, President Tayyip Recep Erdogan, is trying to fend off, to beat an opposition made up of 6 different parties. Those parties are described to be from the far left to the far right. More than 64 Turks are registered to vote, and if you know Turkey, you know that the turnout here in Turkey is normally high. Turks do take their elections very seriously, and regardless of who wins, whether it's the opposition led by opposition leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu or President Erdogan, it's 2 different directions that the country is facing regardless of who wins. And I have with me here Mr. Yunus Soner, editor of United World International news site, as well as think tank based here in Turkey. Thank you for being with us. What's the future holds for Turkey with these elections? The results are not out yet. They will be out in the coming hours and probably by tomorrow. What's the future holding for Turkey?
There is a context, a global context, which will be valid for whoever wins the elections, and that is the decaying power of the United States. Remember, Turkey has been a NATO frontier country in the Cold War against the Soviet Union during times when the United States was a rising power after the Second World War. Now these times have changed. Now we have the United States losing share in the global market, closing itself in, being excluded ever more from all issues, all diplomatic issues in West Asia. A recent example is Syria. And so whoever will win will face the situation of the United States losing influence, losing force in the region. And that is a fact that should, for instance, the opposition win, that they will have to face once in power. They might not know it yet to full degree, but once they are in power, they will have to face this fact. So Turkey's path towards independence, let's say, towards decoupling from the United States politically, towards fortifying its relations with its neighbors, will have to continue and will continue. The other alternative, to try to re-engage with the West, try to re-engage with the European Union, is not viable. If the next government tries that, it will create chaos in the economy and in the politics and even in security.
You told me just before we started this that you do believe that Mr. Erdogan have taken campaigning for this election very seriously. What happened with Mr. Erdogan? What are the top factors that may bring Mr. Erdogan and his party down?
That may bring his party down. Well, the first factor is the inflation. Though the economy is, generally speaking, going not so bad, we are not about to crash. We do have some balance of payment problems, but employment rate is okay. The public debt is okay. Still, there is a huge inflation. Because the government has given priority to economic growth instead of financial stability. Mm-hmm. But inflation is, of course, something that hits people day by day. So that's number one problem, I think, regarding the undecided population. Issue number 2, I would say the Syrian refugee situation is the second issue. And also maybe the problem of some of the allies that he has chosen to his coalition are causing a lot of criticism among his own supporters. There is the so-called Free Cause Party, Hüdapar, which is a very small party. It has a political program that includes Turkey into a federation. It has a political that includes almost introducing Islamic law into Turkey, and this has caused a lot of discomfort among voters of the AKP. There is an interesting thing. There is an interesting process. Erdogan has opened the door for young female people who are religious, who beforehand had insisted to wear their hijab, and for that reason were excluded from the universities. He opened that door. They went to study. They took part in social life. They took part in economic life. They were very active in all his election campaigns, especially women were very, very active. They worked a lot for Erdogan. But these new allies like Hüdapar, they represent a position which would force these women back home, which would force them quit jobs maybe, or would not like that to happen that much. And this has caused a lot of conflict within the AKP actually. There was even one of their politicians criticized, Özlem Zengin is her name. She criticized pressures and threats against her from within the party because she's defending, women's activities, social activities, and participation in social life. So that might be a secret point that might cause him some loss of votes as well.
AKP party, the Justice and Development Party, that's Mr. Erdogan's party, indeed not united as it used to be, but the counting of the vote has begun in the last few hours, and counting will continue throughout the night, and we'll start to have some numbers come out later tonight and first thing Monday morning. Mr. Soner, thank you so much for your time. This is Mohammed Al Qasim in Istanbul, Turkey, reporting for the Media Line.